Sucker Punch's PlayStation exclusive open world game is perhaps the ultimate superhero simulator, thanks to its memorable characters and lengthy replayable campaigns. Without the protagonist from the first two titles, Cole MacGrath, absent from their newest entry in the franchise, it's clear that the shiny new visuals from Sony's new console won't be the only changes from the series' winning formula. The real question is whether or not what's new and Infamous upholds the high standards that its predecessors set, or is it merely a sexy outer shell housing last-gen leftovers?
What the hell just happened? Reggie? Oh man, answer me! Oh my god.
Fans of X-Men will likely be unable to shake the fact that the plight of the game's conduits is eerily similar to the genocidal paranoia that Marvel mutants face. Conduits are being rounded up by the Department of Unified Protection, or DUP, and labeled bioterrorists. 7 years after the events of Infamous 2, Delson Rowe, a small-town delinquent, finds himself a conduit after absorbing smoke powers and memories from an escapee during a prisoner transport accident. After confronting the prisoner, the leader of the Department of Unified Protection, Brooke Augustine, stops both of them by making quick work of the prisoner, but still unaware of Delson's new powers. A conduit herself, she tortures Delson using her concrete powers until he falls unconscious. When he comes to, Delson finds the entire village has endured torture on the hands of Augustine, with many resting uncomfortably on death's doorstep. Realizing the potential of his newfound abilities, Delson and his brother Reggie set off to Seattle in the attempt to save his people by absorbing the power of Augustine. With two bioterrorists on the loose, the DUP has declared martial law throughout Seattle, fearing the whereabouts of the escaped conduits. The relationship that Cole MacGrath and Zeke had in the first two Infamous games often comes to mind when playing through Second Son. The chemistry between Reggie and Delson doesn't have the same impact, and it's largely due to the fact that Reggie is a man of the law and a brother to Delson, making his influence morally righteous, while Zeke's role made it easier for him to navigate the gray areas presented by the game. Overall, the cast doesn't have much of an impact in terms of narrative, and they often seem to be on the sideline waiting a cue for their predetermined moment to have an impact. The ex-addict Fetch and the antisocial gamer Eugene's involvement was minor when compared to Nix and Lucy, who were often entangled in the many scenarios of Infamous 2.
I'm ready.
Let's rock and roll, man.
Well, no, you're gonna rock and roll. I'm gonna stick to the shadows.
What?
You know, stealth.
Right. Stealth.
When it comes to moral choices themselves, Second Son is far less engaging than its predecessors. There's never any kind of morally ambiguous territory to tread. Instead, the gamer paints a very clear picture of good and evil, and it asks you to choose. In this way, it's hard to become invested in what you are doing, and many players will find themselves shrugging, making a decision on the fly whether they want to be naughty or nice, and staying the course for the duration of the game. In terms of gameplay, Second Son continues the trend of offering some solid mechanics, but sadly fails to have the depth seen in Infamous 2. Where Second Son stumbles is how it offers quantity over quality, delivering multiple powers with little variation, and the inability to mix powers making it feel a bit incohesive. By the end of the game, your arsenal consists of 4 elemental powers: Smoke, Neon, Digital, and another I'll avoid mentioning, which are acquired from the escape conduits, which also serve as the boss encounters. Unfortunately, these encounters, with one exception, are rather dual affairs. Using shards via hover drones and DUP mobile vehicles, you are capable of upgrading each elemental power. Depending on what karma route you pursue, determines what form of specific ability you acquire, with small differences. Every district within Seattle is under DUP control, and liberating them prevents patrolling DUP from respawning. By limiting DUP mobile vehicles, unveiling spies, uncovering audio logs, and even engaging in artistic vandalism, their control is slowly diminished. Once 30% of the control is reached, a district showdown is unlocked, presenting itself as a mini-boss encounter with either air vehicles or a multitude of rehashed enemies. Completing these opens up fast travel within districts, but looking back at it, I only used it once or twice after unlocking the digital element, which makes travel a complete non-chore.
Hi, you have reached the DUP helpline. Do you have a bioterrorist incident to report?
You know what, lady? I think it's about time you introduced yourself. I feel like we're, starting a real relationship here.
I'm not telling my name to some dirty bioterrorist. You might have name control powers or something.
The difficulty of Second Son is also much easier. The fact that I was able to clear every district with only 2 powers is a testament to how poorly the powers complement each other and influence the gameplay. I would often scope an area, snipe, subdue the smaller enemies, and pick off the larger ones with either one of my available cannon shots. Many of the enemies simply don't pose much of a threat, and dying was usually due to carelessness. Infamous' scaling mechanics were never on par with games like Assassin's Creed, but the many means of traveling made it a blast in the last 2 titles. This time around, much of the environment offered is undermined more and more with each new power unlocked. I never used the tram once in Second Son as I did in the previous games, and when I was trying to scale a building, it was often best to just ignore the scaling and jump into a vent using my smoke powers, or use the other abilities I'd acquired. Once digital powers are unlocked, the game's role becomes almost entirely trivial. Without a doubt, Infamous Second Son is the best looking game on the PS4, presenting a beautiful rendition of the cloudy, rainy, soaky city of Seattle, packed with an obsessive amount of detail. Peering across the city during the evening is a sight to see, and the orange glow reflecting off the glass combined with the specularity on the wet surfaces makes this the most visually arresting open world game since Sleeping Dogs on the PC. The particle effects of Delson's abilities look crisp, and when he unleashes either of his special moves, the screen is enveloped in a marvelous parade of effects. The motion capturing for the characters is also fantastic. Wrinkles appear throughout the characters' faces, making them extremely emotive and natural. The tech is boasted by excellent voice acting and continuing the trend of exceptional production values. The soundtrack is excellent as well, combining distorted guitars with synths and industrial noise. It perfectly echoes Delson's delinquent attitude. Infamous Second Son is a game any PS4 owner should purchase, but I can't say it's at par with Infamous 2. It might be a powerhouse in the visual department, but its length and missteps in narrative and design are a bit disappointing. Other than Delson, the cast isn't as memorable or developed as I was hoping for, but the potential is there when the inevitable sequel comes to market. Infamous was a good game, but its sequel was a major step forward in comparison. If you're a fan of the Infamous IP, expect Second Son to inflame your Infamous itch, rather than scratch it, because Sucker Punch's track record tells us that the follow-up will be something special.
Ha ha ha! Turns out their Achilles heel is up their asses.
Knew you could do it, D.
Just gotta keep leapfrogging these auto turds.